Good afternoon. Thank you. Today, I'm announcing 7 appointments in the customer service cluster, or what sometimes people refer to as the customer service cluster. I guess when you look at what they do, you can see that they reach out to the residents in particular in this city. Not that everybody doesn't, but I think people will perceive what they do as having an important impact, in particular on the residents of the city. These nominees are seasoned public servants and well-versed in the inner workings of the government of the District of Columbia. They are Harriet Trigoni as Director of the Office of Planning. Nicholas Majette will be the Director of the Department of Consumer and Regulatory Affairs. By the way, you all better raise your hand. We learned that a few days ago. You have to do that. William O. Howland, Jr. will You know, I asked him why he was handing out $20 bills. I got it now, Bill. William O. Howland as Director of the Department of Public Works. Lucinda Babers, Director of the Department of Motor Vehicles. Julie Koo will be the Executive Director of the Office of Asian and Pacific Islander Affairs. Ron Collins as the Director of the Office of Boards and Commissions. And Eric Richardson, the Director of the Office of Cable Television. Yeah. They've learned from the last 2 press conferences. Bring your peoples with you, right? Each of them has shown that they understand why service delivery to our constituents must be fast and efficient. These professionals are aware that I am counting on them to step up their game, as they say, in areas that need attention and improvement as identified by our transition committees. The people standing with me today understand that it's important for the taxpayers of the District of Columbia to be able to trust their government in serving them to the greatest extent possible and spending the people's money wisely, especially when budgets are stretched to the limits as ours are now. My first appointment is Harriet Trigoni as Director of the Office of Planning. In this position, Ms. Trigoni has worked for 4 years, the last 4 years, to make the District of Columbia a livable, inclusive, globally competitive, and sustainable city. And I've had the pleasure of working with her as the Oversight Chair. And I think we have generated, or you've generated, and we've had oversight of, I think, close to 15 small area plans, and have worked very closely with her on what will be one of the most important projects over the next several years, and that is the location, or relocation, if you will, of Homeland Security to the campus of the St. Elizabeth's Hospital. And I think we all recognize that it has a potential, a tremendous potential as a catalytic agent for Ward 8 in the District of Columbia, where we want to focus a lot of our attention. So I am delighted to announce her today as our Office of Planning Director. Prior to heading the Office of Planning, she was the Director of the Maryland Governor's Institute on Community Design. Ms. Trigoni also was the Executive Director of the Smart Growth Leadership Institute, which she founded with former Maryland Governor Paris Glendening. She served Governor Glendening as both Secretary of Planning and then as the nation's first state-level cabinet secretary for smart growth. Director Trigoni's academic training is in engineering and public policy. She was a Loeb Fellow at the Harvard University Graduate School of Design. She lives in Ward 1. Nicholas A. Majette will be the Director of the Department of Consumer and Regulatory Affairs. He has served as the agency's Deputy Director since 2006. Mr. Majette is a native Washingtonian who has worked in the District of Columbia government in several capacities for more than 25 years. These positions include Assistant Attorney General for 19 years. In the Office of the Attorney General, he handled regulatory, real estate, tax, and civil cases, prosecuted tax and government fraud cases. Mr. Majette also served as Chief of Assessment Services for the Office of Tax and Revenue. Mr. Majette earned both his Bachelor of Science degree and JD law degree from Howard University. William O. Howland No raise for you. Will be the director of the Department of Public Works, where he has served since 2004. He leads a staff of 1,400 employees who are primarily responsible for solid waste collection, parking enforcement, and fleet management. Mr. Howland joined the district government in 2001 as the Deputy Director for the Department of Human Services. He also served as the Chief of Staff to the Deputy Mayor for Operations. Mr. Howland has responded to numerous issues involving agencies in this cluster, particularly the Department of Motor Vehicles, Office of Contracting and Procurement, and Office of Property Management. Among his accomplishments are developing proposals to solicit trash hauling services, reducing the district government's fleet size, and initiating the review of temporary tags. Mr. Howland holds a master's degree in public policy and management from Carnegie Mellon University, and he did his undergraduate work at the University of California, Berkeley. Mr. Howland lives in the Shepherd Park neighborhood of Ward 4. I am appointing Lucinda Babers, Director of the Department of Motor Vehicles. Ms. Babers was confirmed as the Director of the DMV in 2007. She had served for 3 years prior to that time as the Deputy Director of the DMV, dating back, I guess, to 2004. She has reviewed and revised numerous customer service processes at the agency. She previously worked on management reform projects for the city administrator during the control board era and served as an internal consultant project manager for the city administrator and for corrections. Ms. Babers started her career as an officer in the military. She holds a Bachelor of Industrial Engineering degree from the Georgia Institute of Technology and a master's degree, Master of Science degree in business from Johns Hopkins University. She lives in Ward 6. Julie Koo will be the Executive Director of the Office of Asian and Pacific Islander Affairs, a position that she has held for several years. She came to this office in 2001 and served as its Deputy Director and Outreach Coordinator. Through her leadership, the office has significantly increased its outreach to all Asian and Pacific Islander communities, increased visibility and accessibility of the office through an extensive publicity campaign, and effectively assisted district agencies in providing culturally sensitive services to this population. Ms. Koo holds a master's degree in interpretation and translation from the International School of International Studies at Hankook University, and earned a BA in history from Hallam University in South Korea. She lives in Ward 2. And I might add that Julie and Harriet and I worked together on a strategy, a small area plan to ensure the future of Chinatown in the city. It started with a seemingly innocuous hearing around an alley closing. And I called up Harriet and said, hey, listen, can you help us? We need to really focus on more than just the alley closing and the implications of it. We really need to focus on the future of Chinatown. And we worked effectively together to be able to get it done. It was approved just about a year ago, and its implementation has already started. So it's a coincidence that both of them are being announced today, but no coincidence that I respect both of them and look forward to continuing to work with them. Ron Collins will be the Director of the Office of Boards and Commissions, and that is not a position that is strange to him by any stretch, nor is he a stranger to me. I appointed Mr. Collins as Assistant Secretary to the Council of the District of Columbia when I became Chairman in 2006, and he has worked for the last 4 years with Cynthia Brocksmith, who will now become the Secretary of the District of Columbia. In that role, Ron has been especially sensitive to the unique needs of all 13 council members' offices, as well as responsive to requests from the public, including Freedom of Information Act requests. Ron has worked in city government for more than 20 years in various capacities. They include Senior Policy Officer in the Office of Contracting and Procurement, Chief Contracting Officer for the Departments of Health and Fire and EMS, and Staff Director for the Council Committee with oversight for the Departments of Human Services, Department of Human Services and Libraries, Recreation, and Charitable Games. Mr. Collins' extensive experience working for the district government, demonstrated involvement in community service, and his understanding of the important role that appointed commissioners play make him incredibly well qualified to assist me in seating the right people on boards and commissions. He also will work with my administration on an immediate review of all boards and commissions for purposes of streamlining their operations and for purposes of beginning to make sure we fill out those that may be less than at their full complement of people. Ron has a law degree from the Dickinson School of Law and a BA from the University of Scranton. He is a native Washingtonian who resides in the southwest area of Ward 6. And finally, I'm naming Eric Richardson, the director of the Office of Cable Television. He has helped to develop OCT as an award-winning government agency. It regulates all television providers in the District of Columbia. In addition, OCT manages the district's 2 municipal government channels, TV 16 and TV 13. These stations give D.C. residents an inside look at the activities and processes of their government. Mr. Richardson directs OCT's production department, creating human interest, history, science, health, lifestyle, and news and public affairs program. He served as OCT's Director of Programming from December 2006 until January of 2007, when he was promoted to Director of the agency. Prior to joining OCT, he worked for Howard University's PBS affiliate, WHUT TV. It was Channel 32, right?
That's correct.
Channel 32. As the Director of Broadcast Services and Executive Producer of Evening Exchange with Kojo Nnamdi. He is a native of Louisiana, received a Bachelor of Arts degree in Mass Communications from Louisiana State University, and he lives in Ward 6. And I've been delighted to work with Eric over the last several years as we looked at how we expand the array of offerings through cable television. I happen to have oversight of cable television in the Committee of the Whole at present. And we have added a number of different programming ideas as a result of his leadership. And most recently, they did a great job in handling the Turkey Bowl, which focused on our high school kids in the city. I am absolutely delighted to nominate the 7 district government, district residents, district citizens, and people who are committed to the city, to my administration. I value their institutional knowledge and their commitment to the District of Columbia. I think that residents can feel rest assured that they will work with my administration to bring new and innovative ideas, projects, programs, and improvements to respond to the needs of the people who live, work, and do business in the District of Columbia. So please join me in congratulating and welcoming these 7 people who stand behind me.